locks. Thy hair is as a flock of goats that appear from Mount Gilead.
Thank you. A flock of goats that appear from Mount Gilead. This is a wrong word. In Hebrew, the word is galshu, which means slid from Mount Gilead. And that expresses the movement much nicer. So I think this is a beautiful thing. Once you come, it's also beautiful to read it in Birmingham, you know. Once you come here and you read it here in the real landscapes of the Holy Land, it gets another dimension. We'll have introduction all the way on top. Okay? Okay?
Yeah. Yes.
Some on the shower, or something from the top.
It's the entrance before they baths and cleanse themselves.
Would they put their clothes in there?
Closet?
Yes. Put their clothes, if they strip the clothes
They would leave their clothes there, take off their clothes, etc.
You're all wrong, though. Why? Because, first of all, look at it. The truth is we don't know what it is. Okay, folks, listen.
An imitation.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a catapult. There's a big research. Next to it there's a catapult, and there's a big research made on it. Some people say that the rain. We came to the half room, and this is really the highlight of the Roman bath. Of course, it was closed here. This is the exit now, but it wasn't. The only exit was beautifully tiled. You see the negative marks of the tiles that are gone, and that was all beautifully tiled, and there were tiles on the walls too. You can see the marks of the long tile on the walls, and
Mrs. downstairs, 55 seconds. I'm investment for doing splendid.
I say, what do you do?
I'm recommended here Dorridge River Liquors.
John, are you ready yet? I know it's John.
Can we come a bit nearer?
Come on, Heather, get near.
What a liquid acid.
What about Mother? Take yours. Point in the picture. Come on, Mother.
Don't forget.
To the picture.
Don't get your hat wet, John. You need to slide the back. Slide it open. Slide the front open first.
Then it goes down to the Kidron again. Because you are between the little valley, the Tarokean, and the Kidron.
Yes, the
Only then it was expanded over to this mountain, and it was called the Upper. Right over. Oh! Thank you. I mean, it's different, isn't it?
Eine Stola, ja, die Insel.
Then they added more and more facilities and things to Yad Vashem, because Yad Vashem is not only a museum. There is a museum in here. The museum is of photographs that were taken by Germans, never expecting ever to be shown in a museum in a Jewish state, because they really meant to exterminate and eliminate completely the Jewish race for these people, because they feel that these people actually saved the conscience and the honor of mankind. So each one of them, when they were still alive, they came here to Israel and they were recognized, they got a certificate, and they planted a tree on their name right here in Yad Vashem. So far, we've designated 9,000 people as the righteous people of the world here. And his 4 sisters and his brother, and the husbands of the sisters and their children. The only one who is not here is my father, because this picture was taken in 1935, and he had already been in Israel. He came to Israel in 1933. This was taken just before another sister came to Israel, and she, just her, and his brother, who served in the Polish army and survived the war in a labor camp in Germany. Only these 2 survived of all the 14 people here. They were all shot in Ponari in 1941. The Nazis, before they invented the gas chambers, they simply shot 1.5 million Jews, including the Baltics and White Russia and areas in eastern Poland, and all these people were shot. We don't know when exactly. Of course, exactly where also we don't know. We only know about one. You see there's a girl here with the long hair. She's about 13 years old here. Her name is Cerne Morgenstern, and she was my oldest first cousin. She's the daughter of my father's oldest sister. And in the war, in 1941, she was about 18 years old. And she, like many others, were in the ghetto, in the place where the Nazis concentrated the Jews. And from there, they took them on Aktia. Aktia is like a hunt, a deportation of a certain type of people. They took them all out to Ponari, which was a wood like this. And there, in trenches, they took the people, telling them, of course, that they were going to a resettlement, to a labor camp. And they would undress them and shoot them and let them fall in the ground in the trenches. It was a turn of an aktia of young girls, and she was amongst them. There were about 150 of them, and they were brought to Ponari, absolutely sure they were going to a labor camp, and they would undress them, put them in a row, and then the officer came to my cousin and said, "You're really so pretty, it's a shame to bury such beauty in the ground. Why wouldn't you step forward? Come," he said. And she was hesitating, didn't know what to do. She was so feared. And then he insisted, so she stepped a few steps forward. And then he said, "Now walk along the trees and don't look back." Once she started walking, he took his gun and shot her in her back. So we know about her because one of the girls there was not shot. I mean, she was shot, but he didn't hit her, and she fell down, and bodies fell on her, and so on. And in the evening, there was no one there. She crawled out and she walked back to the ghetto, and she told this story to a man who became a partisan later on, who was my cousin's teacher before the war for a while. And he eventually came to Israel, and he came up with this story, and he gave it as a testimony in Eichmann trial in 1961. So about her we know, it was written in the papers. So about her we know. All the rest, nothing. Just nothing. Sometime between 1940 and 1942, they all lost their lives. Tried to issue false documents to show that these people were Swedish diplomats, and so they won't be sent to Auschwitz. And he saved tens of thousands. Eventually he disappeared. In 1947 he disappeared. Maybe the Russians killed him or took him to a prison. We don't know. It's a big puzzle. We don't know. But he describes one of his meetings with Eichmann. Eichmann also was in Budapest in those days, and he came to him once and said, "Come on, you've killed so many. There are a few thousands left. Spare them. What do you care?" And Eichmann said to him something which is really the essence of the Nazi ideology. He said, "You know what? You will never understand it because you come from the aristocracy of your country. But you will never understand what it means for a simple salesman like myself to use the best prostitutes in Europe, to use the best hotels, and to clear out Europe from Jews. Adolf Hess, who was the commander of Auschwitz, said in his testimony in the Nuremberg trials in 1945, he said, it was our duty to eliminate all the Jews, and this is a glorified page that will never be written in history. There's so many of them. Maybe let's just get an idea by what. That's Romania.
Yes. Yes.
The whole place is very desolate, isn't it? And yet, at the top there, I think those flowers and that tree show that signs of life out of death, that there is hope.
Place of origin, it takes about 3 years until they wrote it only once. You can imagine to have all the names of 1.5 million children, it would take 10 years. Now for these children, this is their tombstone. You know, in Judaism it's very, very important to bury somebody properly. It says after he died, he was buried properly in the grave of Israel. It's very important. And these children don't have graves, no stones. Most of them became ashes a few years after they were choked to death by gas. And this is like a memorial for them, like a tombstone for them that they don't have. Because they have these details which they also have on the tombstone. It goes more or less chronologically from the rise of Hitler. On the left-hand side, you can see the route or the brook of Ajalon. That from here is. Another one. It's very, very large. It's way behind this fence, and this is this was the capital of this country for many, many years. Before Herod came to be, this was a very small fishing village. There was nothing important about this place, and when he came to power, he wanted a port for himself, because there were ports before in Jaffa and in Gaza and in Tyre, but these ports were not his completely, and there were foreigners that lived there, and he didn't have a full control of them. And he wanted a port, first of all, will be much larger, and will fit the connections with the navies of Italy, and also to own it all by himself. So he chose this place, which is very, very central. It's not too north, not too south, and here he built the largest port in the Mediterranean. It was larger than Bali, than Naples, than Venice. Big ports in Italy, and Carthago, and all these places. It was their capital for a long time. Then when the Crusaders came here, the other Christians in the 12th century, again, they remember this place, and they built Caesarea, not that big so at that time, but definitely very, very fortified. There are very, very deep moat around it, walls, gates, bridges. Very, very beautiful town. A lot of this is a limestone, not the best. This is a rock which you can find only around the shores of the
Yes, Pilate.
Exactly, Pontius Pilatus. Pontius Pilate, yes. So what is it? This is a back from a seat from a theater that was that shows that Pontius Pilate, who was the governor who lived here, dedicated the place to Tiberium, the emperor in Rome, at the same time. And why is it so important? First, exactly, primary source, exactly.
Yes.
Why are they at different sizes? What? Staircase? No.
So that people at the back could see what was going on.
No. What?
So the people at the back were higher than those at the front.
No. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Okay, the different sizes, of course, they're not from the original site. They were taken from all kinds of places. And three means double. That means two semicircles, which means a full circle or an oval. When it comes to this is a theater. So we have three theaters in Israel, and one theater people use for very, very different purposes.
Because it is a watershed, it's a turning point, it's the conversion of the first Gentile, and that's why it's such an important place in the book of Acts. We're going to ask Margaret to read just a little bit of that story, and then we move on to the time when Paul is on trial here, as a result of which he gets a boat westwards all the way to Rome, and that way, of course, God overrules and the gospel gets to the heart of the empire. First of all,
There was a man called, a devout man, who feared God with all his household, gave alms liberally to the people, who prayed constantly to God. Some of the brethren from Jaffa accompanied Peter, and on the following day they entered Caesarea. Cornelius was expecting them, and called together his kinsmen and close friends. When Peter entered, Cornelius met him, fell down at his feet and worshipped him. And Peter, lifting him up, saying, "Stand up, I too am a man." You know how unlawful it is for a Jew to associate with or to visit any one of another nation. God has shown me that I should not call any man common or unclean. God shows no partiality, but in every nation anyone who fears him and does what is right is acceptable to him.
and delivered the letter to the governor. They presented Paul also before him. He'd been arrested in Jerusalem. And he commanded him to be guarded in Herod's praetorium. He hoped that money would be given him by Paul. So he sent for him often and conversed with him. So when 2 years had passed, Felix was succeeded by Festus. And desiring to do the Jews a favour, Felix let him off his prison.
Find a space, the others. Just find a space.
We really have had a wonderful time here. It's indescribable. It's so fantastic, really. It's thinking of all the time before the people have walked here, all the Pontius Pilate and all those people that we've heard about in our Bible, and to think that we're actually walking on the very ground that they walk just gives you such a feeling that's really so hard to describe. It fills you up with, I don't know what it is, it's such a wondrous feeling, and it really has been something I wouldn't have been expecting.
They
go out. Okay, let's make it like this.
Maybe scary,
Now we came to Akko, and we just entered the old part of Akko. There is a new part, of course, where we came, you'll see it at the time. And we came to the old town of Akko, and we have to remember that Akko is a very old town that was mainly built by the Crusaders, because after 80 years of being there, they still owned the holy sites, but they were not the power there anymore, and they were expelled to here to the north, and they made Akko their capital. And Akko was only 800 years ago, and not like the Romans 2,000 years ago, the Byzantines 16 or 1,500 years ago. Most of the Crusader remnants are above ground, and you can actually see them, all the Gothic arches. And in fact, 80% of the residential homes of Akko, old Akko today, are built on top of Crusader homes. That house is a very important facility in the outer town, and the ritual is to come and spend hours with the other religion will see soon. This was just an entrance in the last whole forest of pyramids coming down from the sea, and that's how they made it. But it was not to be used today. It was just for the youth, for the knowledge. You see a lot of marble here, and plenty of tiles and granite.
Sing us a song. Sing the song. Charge £1 for a photograph thing.
Live, you say this with you. Right. These are the children. So it's like nice. He's real expert. I hope he's working on the feminist.
For you, 5 shekels. Very special price. No, 3 shekels for you. I give it to you for 3 shekels.
You take it.
You don't sell this, you don't sell that.
Very good.
Yeah,